In this video, we are going to cover solving quadratic equations. The aims are solve quadratic equations by difference of two squares, factoring trinomials, using quadratic formula, and tasks to check your understanding. At the end of this video, I would like to challenge you to check your understanding, so I prepared a task for you. Comment below your answers or questions about solving quadratic equations. You will see this task again at the end of this video. We have set of quadratic equations that is in the form of difference of two squares. And in factoring difference of two squares, we have to follow a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Let's try the first example. We have x squared minus 64 is equal to 0. So x squared minus 64 is the difference of two squares. So we're going to use the two parentheses. And the first parenthesis will be plus, and the second is minus. Then, to find the term right here, we are going to square root the first term. So square root of x squared is x. So we're going to put x for both parentheses. And then square root of 64, that is 8. And we're going to write 8 for both parentheses as well. So that's how we factor difference of two squares and then equate it to 0. Now we're going to solve for the value of x. So we're going to split it and equate both factor to 0. So the first is x plus 8 is equal to 0. And the second is x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now let's isolate the x. So here we're going to do minus 8 for both sides. So bring down x. Then 8 minus 8 is 0. Is equal to 0 minus 8 is negative 8. So the first value of x is negative 8. Then the second is x minus 8 is equal to 0. So plus 8 for both sides of the equation. Then bring down x. This will become 0 is equal to 8. So the second value of x is 8. Now for checking, we're going to write the equation of x squared minus 64 is equal to 0. Then let's try the first value of x, which is negative 8, and substitute to the equation. That will turn into negative 8 squared minus 64 is equal to 0. Then negative 8 squared is 64 minus 64 is equal to 0. Then 64 minus 64 is 0 is equal to 0. So our answer is correct. The same thing with the positive 8. It will give you a value of 0. So it's still correct. The value of our x will be negative 8 and positive 8. Next example is 4x squared minus 100 is equal to 0. So let's factor the 4x squared minus 100. Let's write two parentheses. And the first parenthesis will be plus. And the second will be minus. Then equal to 0. So we're going to square root 4x squared, and that gives you 2x. And we're going to write it for both parentheses. And square root of 100 is 10. So we're going to write once again both sides of or both parentheses. Then we're going to split it and equate each factor to 0. So this one becomes 2x plus 10 is equal to 0. And 2x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now let's solve for x. So here we're going to minus 10 both sides. that will give you 2x. This becomes 0 is equal to negative 10. Then divide both sides by 2. So this becomes 1 times x is x. This is equal to negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. So the first value of x is negative 5. For the second factor, so plus 10 for both sides. Then bring down 2x. This becomes 0 is equal to 0 plus 10 is 10. Then divide both sides by 2. So the second value of x is equal to 5 as we divide 10 divided by 2. For checking, let's write the equation. We have 4x squared minus 100 is equal to 0. Let's start with the second value of x, which is positive 5. So 4 times 5 squared minus 100 is equal to 0. So 5 squared is 25. So that will be 4 times 25 minus 100 is equal to 0. And 4 times 25 is 100 minus 100 is equal to 0. So that is 0 is equal to 0. So we are correct. Even if you use negative 5, it gives you the same answer as 0 is equal to 0. So our answer is negative 5 and positive 5. Here we have another set of example for quadratic equations in terms of difference of two squares. The example is 8x squared minus 50, and both terms is not a perfect square. So let's try to factor it out. And the factor of 8 and 50 is 2. And then since 50 don't have x, so we cannot factor out x. So the common factor is only 2. Now let's divide 2 for each term. So 8x squared divided by 2 is 4x squared. Then minus 50 divided by 2 is 25. Is equal to 0. Now the 4x squared minus 25 now is a perfect square. So let's write 2 and 2 parentheses. So the first is plus and the next is minus. Then let's take the square root of 4x squared, that is 2x for both parentheses, and square root of 25 is 5. Then equal to 0. Then again we're going to split all the factors and equate it to 0. So 2 equal to 0. So that is, we're not going to consider that because there's no x for the 2. Then moving on to the next factor of 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. So that will be minus 5 for both sides. And that is 2x. This is 5 minus 5 is 0. Is equal to 0 minus 5 is minus 5. Then divide both sides by 2. So the first value of x, let's write it here. X is equal to negative 5 over 2. The next set we have 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So plus 5 for both sides. Then bring down 2x. So this becomes 0 is equal to 5. Then divide both sides by 2. So the value of x will be now x is equal to 5 over 2. So these are the two answers for our quadratic equation, which is negative 5 over 2 and 5 over 2 for the value of x. Next is 3x squared minus 27 is equal to 0. So it's not a perfect square, and we need to factor it out from 3 and 27, and that is 3. Now since your second term don't have an x, so we can have factored out x. Now let's divide each term by 3. So we have now 3 times 3x divided by 2 over 3 is x squared. Then minus 27 divided by 3 is 9. Is equal to 0. Now x squared minus 9 is now a perfect square. So let's continue. 3, then 2 parentheses, plus and minus. Then square root of x squared is x for both parentheses, and square root of 9 is 3 for both parentheses, then equal 0. Then split factors and equate each by 0. Now here we don't have x. On the second factor we have x plus 3 is equal to 0. So solve for x minus 3 for both sides. X will be 3 minus 3 is 0, is equal to negative 3. Here we have x minus 3 is equal to 0. So isolate x, so plus 3 for both sides. So x now is, this is 0, is equal to 0 plus 3 is positive 3. So the values of x are negative 3 and positive 3. So here are your answers. For this example, we have a quadratic equations in trinomial. So in factoring trinomial, we're going to factor the x squared, then find the factors of the constant term, that the sum is the middle term. Okay, let's do it one by one. Let's write first 2 parentheses and equate it to 0. Then the first thing to do is to factor the x squared, which is right here. And the factor of that is x times x, so x for both parentheses. Then the 16, which is the constant term, we have to find the factor of 16, that the sum is negative 8. So that is negative 4 times negative 4 gives you positive 16. And if we add negative 4 plus negative 4 gives you negative 8. So this is the factor of x squared minus 8x plus 16. Then equate both factors to 0. So this x minus 4 is equal to 0. So plus 4 for both sides. That will be x is equal to 4. On the other side, we have x minus 4 is equal to 0. So plus 4 for both sides. So here x is 0 is equal to 4. So the value of x will be positive 4. On the second side, we have x squared plus 2x minus 24. So let's factor x squared by writing 2 parentheses, and then let's equate it to 0. So factor of x squared is x and x. Then factors of negative 24, that the sum is positive 2. So that will be 6 and 4. And then it should be negative once we multiply, but once we add, it should be positive. So the 6 should be positive and the 4 should be negative. So that 6 times negative 4 is negative 24, and 6 minus 4 is positive 2, which is the middle term. Now let's split the factors. So x plus 6 is equal to 0. So minus 6 for both sides. That will be x is equal to this 0, -6. So the first value of x is -6. And here we have x minus 4 is equal to 0. So plus 4 for both sides. Bring down x. This becomes 0. Then equal 0 plus 4 is 4. So the values of x will be -6 and +4. For this set of example, we have here a trinomial with the numerical coefficient of the x squared is above 1. And to solve for the value of x, we're going to use the diamond method, which is right over here. Now, the first example, we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. For you to use the diamond method, we need to get the value of a, b, and c. So in this example, it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now we can now get the value of a, b, and c. So the top part is a times c, which is 2 times 2, and that is 4. Down here is the value of b, which is 5. Now the left and right side is the factors of the a times c, but the sum will be the value of b. And that will be 4 and 1, because 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 plus 1 is 5. Now, let's rewrite the equation right here by copying the first term, which is 2x squared. Then instead of 5x, we're going to use 4x and x, since the sum of that is 5x. So plus 4x and plus x. Then copy plus 2 and equate it to 0. Then pair them. Afterwards, let's find out the common factor of 2 and 4. That is 2. X squared and x, we're going to get the variable with the lowest exponent, and that is x. Now we can divide. 4x squared divided by 2x is x, and 4x divided by 2x is plus 2. Here we have x plus 2. In this case, we can just factor it out 1. So plus 1 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. Then we're going to put together the common factor. That will be 2x plus 1. And then we're just going to copy 1 of the x plus 2. So x plus 2 is equal to 0. And then we're going to split into 2 and equate it to 0. So let's do it over here. That will be 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So let's solve. That will be -1 for both sides. And that will be 2x. This becomes 0 is equal to -1. Then divide both sides by 2. So this one will be 2 divided by 2 is 1 times x is x. The first value of x is -1/2. And the next is x plus 2 is equal to 0. So -2 for both sides. So bring down x. This becomes 0 is equal to -2. So these are the values of your x, -1/2 and -2. Next example, we have 5x squared plus 19x minus 4 is equal to 0. So let's use the diamond method. The top will be a times c, which is 5 times -4, and that is -20. Down here is the value of b, which is 19. And the left and right, the factors of -24, that the sum is 19 is 20 and -1. Since 20 times -1 is -20 and 20 minus 1 is 19. Now let's rewrite the equation. So copy the first term, 5x squared. Then instead of 19x, we're going to use 20x and -x. So plus 20x minus x. Then copy the last term, which is -4, then equate it to 0. Then pair into 2. So find the common factor of 5 and 20, and that is 5. And common factor of x squared and x is x. Then let's divide. 5x squared divided by 5x is x. Then 20 divided by 5 is plus 4. Then x times x is 1 times 4 is still 4. Then here we have negative x and -4. So instead of positive 1 that we're going to get for the common factor, we're going to use -1. And let's see first. So that will be negative x divided by -1 is positive x. And -4 divided by -1 is positive 4 is equal to 0. I'll use -1 so that we will have the same factor over here. Okay. Then next is put together all the common factor. That will be 5x minus 1, and just copy one of the x plus 4. Then equate it to 0. Then split into 2. Equate both by 0. This will be 5x minus 1 is equal to 0. So -1 for both sides. Become 5x is equal to -1. Then divide both sides by 5. So the first value of x is -1 over 5. Next we have x plus 4 is equal to 0. So -4 for both sides. That will be x, this will become 0, is equal to -4. So here are the values of x, which is -1 over 5 and -4. Next example is solving quadratic equations by quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is x is equal to -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. For our first example, we have m squared minus 5m minus 14 is equal to 0. So we need to get the values of the a, b, and c. So a is equal to 1, which is the right one over here. And then the b is -5. And c will be -14. Now let's substitute the given to the quadratic formula. That will be x is equal to negative times the value of b, which is -5, then plus and minus square root of b, which is -5, and that is in square, then minus 4 times a, that is 1, times c, that is -14, all over 2 times the value of a, that is 1. Then let's solve. So that will be x is equal to negative times -5 is +5, then plus or minus square root of -5 squared is 25, then -4 times 1 times -14 is positive or plus 56. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Now x is equal to 5 plus or minus square root of 81 over 2. Then x is equal to 5 plus or minus square root of 81 is 9 over 2. Then we're going to split the plus and minus. That will be x is equal to 5 plus 9 over 2. And x is equal to 5 minus 9 over 2. And let's solve. X will be 5 plus 9 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. And x equal to 5 minus 9 is negative 4, divided by 2 is x will be negative 2. So here are your answer. X is positive 7 and negative 2. For the second example, you can post it so you could try it, and then we'll work it out. So here, for the value of a, that is the value of 2. Letter b is positive 2. And c is negative 12. Then let's substitute. So it will be x is equal to negative, where the value of b is 2. Then plus minus square root of the b, that is 2, then square, then minus 4 times a, that is 2, times negative 12, all over 2 times the value of a, that is 2. Then let's solve. X is equal to negative times 2 is negative 2. Then plus minus square root of 2 squared, that is 4. Then we have 4 times 2 times 12. That will be 96. So plus 96 all over 2 times 2, that is 4. Continue. So x is equal to negative 2 plus minus square root of 4 plus 96 is 100 all over 4. Then now x is equal to negative 2 square root of 100 is 10, so that will be plus minus 10 all over 4. Then we're going to split the plus and minus. That will be x is equal to negative 2 plus 10 all over 4, and x is equal to negative 2 minus 10 all over 4. So the first value of x will be negative 2 plus 8, negative 2 plus 10 is 8 over 4, and that is x is equal to 2. And here, x is equal to negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12 over 4. That is x is equal to negative 3. So here are your answers, 2 and negative 3. It's now time to check your understanding. Pause the video and comment below your answers or questions about solving quadratic equations. And remember, math is more than a procedure. It's a powerful habit of thinking.